Network Entertainment.
So the last time I drank, I almost got date raped.
Oh my gosh.
I was in a bar. I was picked up by this man, and I was already, I couldn't even see his face anymore. I thought we were going to a coffee shop, but apparently he had led me to his home.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? Thank God, before anything happened, I snapped out of it. I got sober, and I ran out of there. The Flash. And then instead of going home and, resting and, drinking water and trying to calm down, because I was upset that I almost got date raped, I went to a restaurant and drank some more.
Oh my gosh.
Diba? The insanity. That's
Right,
the insanity. And so when I tried to walk back to my condo, because it was the restaurants na near my condo, I fell flat on my face. As in talagang boom! Right on the cement. And two women, I call them my good Samaritans, they picked me up and they brought me home to my unit.
Hi, this is Mirza Season. Welcome to You Can Do This, a podcast that'll help you achieve your dreams and goals one episode at a time. What are you waiting for? Let's go! Welcome to You Can Do This, a podcast that helps you achieve your dreams and goals one episode at a time. Whether it's a struggle you can't seem to get through or a dream that seems too daunting for you, I'm your confidence coach, Mirza Season, here to help you figure it out or find someone who can. Today, we're unpacking a serious and often heartbreaking topic that touches many lives: overcoming alcoholism and addiction. Whether you want to help a loved one or yourself, this episode is packed with insights and information to help you navigate the challenging journey of recovery. With us here today is an international certified addiction specialist with a certificate of professional achievement in counseling theories, skills, and practice solidified by studies in Emeritus Addiction Studies in partnership with Asia Metropolitan University. More important is her own experience in overcoming decades of trauma and addiction, which she is harnessing together with her expertise to help others do the same. You probably already know her as the chef and co-founder and co-owner of the Sexy Chef health food delivery service, along with her sister Rachel Alejandro, with whom she has also co-authored 2 best-selling cookbooks. Please welcome Barni Alejandro.
Hi, Mirza.
Hi, Barni.
It's been such a long time.
I know. I'm so happy to see you and to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great platform to share my knowledge about
Yes.
addiction and recovery, that it is
Yes.
possible and that you can do this.
Yes. That's exactly why I asked for you to be here. So how are you today?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous. This is my first podcast.
Oh, okay.
I'm very old school, so bago sa akin ang podcast. But I'm very happy to be here.
So happy holidays.
Yes.
But sadly for alcoholics and addicts and their loved ones, the holidays can be anything but happy sometimes. Lots of stress, disasters, and drama tends to happen during this season of merrymaking. Don't you agree?
Yes, I agree. Statistics show that there are a lot of people who get depressed over the holidays, especially when they don't have family around them. They get nostalgic, or, when they don't have money to give presents to their family.
Right.
It makes them feel depressed. So there's a tendency to overdrink,
Yeah.
or to basically self-medicate,
Right.
with drugs. And but there's always hope. There's always a way, around this, if you get the help that you need.
Right. And you're here to bring us hope. So tell us what inspired you to become a certified addiction recovery specialist.
Okay, so I'm a recovering alcoholic myself. So I know how it feels. I know how hard it is to struggle with this disease. And when I was searching for a recovery coach, I was always assigned a male addiction coach, no? And that was fine. Sometimes I only had one, that was available, and I didn't have a choice, and that person happened to be my friend.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this is not gonna work, right? I know all his kalokohan, but I really I feel more comfortable talking to a woman.
Right,
You know,
right.
because there are certain things that you can't talk about with men, such as sex,
Right.
or maybe sexual abuse, or your trials or challenges as a single mom. So that really inspired me to take up courses so that there will be more
Yes.
female recovery coaches,
Right.
because I want to be able to give women a safe place
Right.
to share their challenges, and not just women, also the LGBTQIA plus and also transgender women, because
Right.
sometimes they do feel more comfortable talking to
Right.
women instead of men. So that's what really inspired me.
Oh, okay. Great. They're lucky to have you then. Can you, of course, as I mentioned, you yourself have hands-on experience. So can you briefly share with us your personal journey and the struggles that you faced?
Well, I had a very chaotic childhood. Although I don't blame my parents.
Right.
Mom, dad, this is not your fault.
Hi.
So it's not their fault. But I did have a chaotic and childhood. I was very shy, insecure, and I felt unloved for
Oh.
some reason. So as I was growing up, I was always looking for a boyfriend
Oh.
to fill that void, diba?
Right.
So I looked for love in all the wrong places. And of course, when we were teenagers, we loved the bad boys, right? So I fell in love with this, super bad boy, guapo kasi, and but he was addicted to meth. And I suffered a lot of physical, verbal abuse from him for many, many years, for 7 years. And that was the only love that I knew. So when I tried to leave him, I thought that I was healed. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I got away from it.
Right.
But you know what? I ended up repeating the patterns. The men that I would end up with also had substance abuse disorders. I thought nga I had a sign here
Right.
na parang, are you addicted to alcohol and drugs? O check, di
Oh
ba?
my gosh. So even if you knew, were you like unaware, parang subconscious, or
I
mean,
think
looking back?
I was aware, but parang that was my group,
Right.
So if you're like surrounded by people who use, those are the people that you end up hanging out with, and then you end up falling for them, hanging out with them. So parang you end up, if you end up in the wrong group, that could be very, very dangerous.
Right.
And for me, I had a lot of bottoms. I got into many car accidents.
Okay.
I'm a Jekyll and Hyde type of drunk. I don't get giddy and flirtatious, or
Right.
I'm not funny.
You're not charming.
I'm not charming. I become a monster.
Oh my goodness.
So I get very angry. And car accidents. I've pushed people away in my life. I angry text. I like to throw things when I'm angry. I black out. And the worst thing of all is that I would scare my daughter because she's only 10. And so she doesn't know what's going on, what's happening to my mother, right? So that was a big influence on me. I really knew I had to get well. So the last time I drank, I almost got date raped.
Oh my gosh.
I was in a bar. I was picked up by this man, and I was already, I couldn't even see his face anymore. I thought we were going to a coffee shop, but apparently he had led me to his home.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? Thank God, before anything happened, I snapped out of it. I got sober, and I ran out of there. The Flash. And then instead of going home and, resting and, drinking water and trying to calm down, because I was upset that I almost got date raped, I went to a restaurant and drank some more.
Oh my gosh.
Diba? The insanity. That's
Right,
the insanity. And so when I tried to walk back to my condo, because it was the restaurants na near my condo, I fell flat on my face. As in talagang boom, right on the cement. And two women, I call them my good Samaritans, they picked me up and they brought me home to my unit. And I didn't know because I blacked out.
How did they know where you live?
I have no idea. Siguro the guard knew me. So when I got there, it was my helper because I woke up and I was feeling, you know, I had pain on my face, my arms, everything. Was like, oh my God, ano na naman nangyari? What did I do? And my helper asked me, ma'am, 2 women brought you up. Sabi ko, sino? Baka kapitbahay. I was like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. What if I bump into them?
Right.
But my God, when I saw my face in the mirror, half of it was black and blue. My nose was had so many cuts. I had bruises all over my body. I had bloodied knees. And that's when I realized enough is enough.
Oh my gosh.
It just, I don't even think that was the worst bottom ever. But for some reason, I really said enough is enough. And then I went into a website and I Googled how to get help. And it pointed me towards a 12-step meeting. And so I called the person who was, his name was on the website. And I asked him, I said, are there face-to-face meetings now? And because, the pandemic is over. And he said, yeah. He said, we have face-to-face meetings regularly now. And you're more than welcome to come. So I attended that first meeting. And I'm so proud and happy to say my goal was to attend 90 meetings in 90 days. But I exceeded that.
Okay.
Yeah. And, it was slow. It was a slow progression. I didn't understand it, but I just kept on trying. I said, this is my last chance to prove myself to my daughter. So I just kept attending the meetings and finally it clicked. Everything made sense to me. And I do believe that it's my higher power. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in a power greater than myself. And I really believe that it was time. It was time to make a change.
When you say it clicked, what clicked?
Knowing that my addiction or my drinking was unmanageable, that my life was unmanageable, that the realization that I could never drink again, that I'm not like other people. Because I always compare myself. How come that person, I went to school with her, we all used to drink. How come she can stop at 1 to 2 drinks?
Right.
How come I can't?
Right.
So there was always that question in my mind. I was like, no. I can do this. I can stop after 1 to 2 drinks. But without that acceptance, you will always relapse.
Wow.
So that was the major discovery that I found out from those meetings.
Is that why they say alcoholism is a disease?
Yes, it
and
definitely
it's not
is.
Because you're a bad person or
No, yeah. That's one thing I learned, from the classes that I took. Because of course I've been a codependent myself. I'm not just a recovering alcoholic. I'm also a codependent up to now. And, I used to think that the person that, that I was taking care of, the person who was also into addiction, my partner, that he was a bad person. It was just because he didn't have the discipline, because he didn't love me, that he just was a weak person, but it's not true. Because I know for a fact that I love my daughter so much. She's my life. But how come I can't stop? Because it's not about love. It's not about discipline. It's not about any of those things. It's basically a brain disease.
Right.
Yeah, it's an allergy to alcohol, and not everyone has that.
Right.
So it really depends on genetics. Like if you have family members that are prone to alcoholism, it's also the environment that you're in. If you have mental disorders, there's so many things.
Right.
So yeah, that's one thing I learned. Addicts are not bad people.
Right.
They just need help.
Right. So looking back, what factors do you think led you to alcoholism? Like if you say it's partly genetic and it's a disease, would you say that may blueprint na in your brain na may propensity ka for alcoholism? Would you say that?
Well,
Or does one become an alcoholic even without those?
there are different aspects to it, no? For me, I had a hard time dealing with my divorce. Also,
Right,
of
right.
course, I had a chaotic childhood. So
Right,
that's
right.
already the environment,
Right,
right?
right.
And then I was dealing with divorce. And since I didn't know how to handle my pain, the natural way, I got used to drinking, and it gave me that euphoric feeling,
Right.
It took all my problems away. I felt numb. So I
Right.
said, wow, I wish I had discovered this, you know, a long time ago.
Magic.
Yeah, this is my best friend. I don't have to
Oh.
confront anything. Itutulog ko na lang to.
Oo nga.
Right?
Right.
So I got used to that. And, people also have to realize that it is a brain disease. So what happens is when you drink alcohol, these neurotransmitters, it's called dopamine, it floods into your brain.
Right.
This is your feel good hormone, right? So with alcohol, the high, the euphoric feeling lasts for only 20 minutes.
Oh.
Yes, 20
Oh.
minutes not like meth or heroin where it lasts longer. With alcohol, it's quick. So after the 20 minutes of the high and the euphoric feeling, you drink again.
Oh, okay.
And then pagtapos na, you drink again. And next thing you know, you don't know how many drinks you've already had.
Right.
So that's why alcohol is such an addictive substance.
Right.
And and even though you already know the adverse effects of the alcohol, your brain keeps seeking that euphoric feeling,
Right.
so you're no longer yourself. You're not. The first drink is always your mistake. Okay, that I
Okay.
have to say. The first drink or the first drug that you take is always your mistake.
You mean in your whole life?
Yeah, or when you go to a party
okay,
or whatever,
okay.
the first drink, that is your choice. The second, third, something alters in your brain already.
Okay.
And it's called an allergy to alcohol. Actually, Chandler of Friends,
Yes,
right?
yes,
He
yes.
had an interview and he talked about, Matthew Perry talked about that he was allergic to alcohol.
Right.
And the people that interviewed him couldn't understand. What do you mean you're allergic to alcohol? It's because, you just don't have the discipline.
Right.
Obviously, they just don't know the science of it,
Right.
And
would you say that also culturally, it is enabled because it's so normal, diba? To everybody drink. Oh, you're not drinking. How come you're not drinking? Magkakansyaw pa yung mga tao, diba? And it makes it harder for somebody who wants to quit.
Yeah, definitely. It's our culture, especially here in the Philippines. Diba, after work, you order a bucket of beer to relax, diba? Or you have a bottle of wine with dinner. Alcohol is very dangerous because number one, it's legal. It's affordable.
Right.
It's highly, it's on billboards,
Yes.
It's promoted on media, films, and social media as
Right,
well.
right,
That they even say that 1 to 2 glasses of wine is good for your heart.
Right.
But an apple is also good for your heart. Diba?
Right.
So it's really the marketing, So that's why it's very difficult.
Right. And it hasn't reached the parang status of cigarettes where people really believe it can kill you. And so cigarette advertising is banned. Smoking
Yeah.
is not allowed in places. But for alcohol, parang
Yeah.
mahihirapan.
Yeah. There's even a mommy wine culture.
Oh,
if you
yes.
notice,
Especially during the
right?
pandemic.
Especially during the pandemic, parang, have you been so tired taking
Oh
care
my
of your
gosh.
kids? You deserve a bottle of wine.
Right,
Diba?
right.
And next thing you know, the mom is like super hungover the next day and she can't even take care of her kids. Or like sometimes, not naman to say bad things about mom, but some moms, they use play dates
Yes.
as a venue to get
As an
drunk
excuse.
with their friends, diba?
Right,
And then I'm wondering, so who's watching the
I
kids?
know.
Baka nalunod na yan sa swimming pool,
Oo nga.
diba? And how are you supposed to drive home?
Right.
And what example are you showing your kids, right?
Right.
But I'm not trying to demonize alcohol.
Right.
It's really more of, the facts,
Yes.
diba? So yeah, it's people don't ask you, oh, how come you're not shooting up heroin? What's wrong with you? How come you're not taking meth? Diba? But when it comes to alcohol, oh, how come you're not
Right.
drinking?
Correct.
Right?
Or if they say, wine lang naman, hindi ako nag-hard drinks. What do you have to say about that?
Well, speaking for myself, I love beer and
Okay.
wine.
Right.
And boy, it's the amount there.
Yes.
It's not about if it's a hard liquor or not. It's
Right.
the amount that you
Right.
drink. And I would drink like 4 bottles of wine a night
Oh my gosh. that's-
and 12 beers. I'm not
In
kidding.
one
Imagine
night.
I'm 105 pounds and I can drink that
Oh
much.
my gosh.
So
Wow.
talagang woohoo!
So if they say one glass lang.
Ay nako, wag na lang. I'll throw that glass on your face. You know?
So if you're not alcoholic, you can do one glass lang.
Oh,
but if you are,
yes. Then you
do like 4
cannot.
bottles.
You cannot. What we call the people who are not alcoholics or not addicted to drugs, normies. We call them.
Okay.
So that's the term. Normies
Right,
sila.
right.
They can actually stop at 1 to 2 drinks.
Right.
You know, and yeah, go ahead. You know, we're not here to demonize alcohol in any way, but this is more for people who do have a substance abuse problem.
Right, right. Okay, so first let's define all the terms.
Yes.
What is alcoholism actually? When is somebody an alcoholic?
Okay, you're an alcoholic when you can't stop drinking,
Okay.
right? So no matter how many drinks you have, it's never enough. And despite all the adverse effects that it gives you, the nausea, the blackouts, fights with your spouse, you lost your house. It could also be gambling. Gambling is also an addiction. You lost your house. You had a divorce. Despite all the adverse effects, you still keep doing it.
Right,
So that's what alcoholism is.
right. When your life is unmanageable.
Yes, when
right?
your life is unmanageable.
How is it different from addiction? If you're addicted to alcohol versus drugs or what?
It's the same
It's the
thing.
same
It's the
thing.
same thing. When when you've already spent all your money on the drugs,
Right.
you already got arrested,
Right,
let's
right,
say, or
right.
you lost your house. Diba? And you don't get afraid. You're not afraid to get caught by the cops. You already went to jail.
Right.
Some people, they already went to jail, but they still continue to take the
Right.
drugs. That's when you know that
Or
you're
what about
really
people who say, I do coke once in a while, but I'm not an addict.
that can happen.
Okay.
That can happen, yeah. Because they just do it for, partying.
So they're not addicted.
They're not addicted.
But they can
if
take
they
it
can, yeah, they can take it occasionally. But if you're already like, you can't wake up without it, you cannot go to work without it, you need it to have fun, you're already spending all your money. I mean, cocaine is very expensive.
Right.
So if you're already blowing all your bank account,
right.
then yes, you do have a drug problem.
Blowing it with blow.
Blowing it with blow.
How about recovery? When people say I'm a recovering addict or alcoholic, they don't say I'm a former alcoholic or I'm cured.
You know what? There are opposing views on this.
Okay.
There are some people who say that they are recovered alcoholics.
Oh.
So I respect that.
Right.
I respect that. But for me, I don't consider myself as a recovered alcoholic. Recovery means that you work on it.
Right.
Every single day. It's
Right.
one day at a time. Because the moment that you become complacent and you're no longer working your program, or you're already like going to bars,
Right, right.
hanging out with people who are using, you get complacent.
Right.
And they say that, with bars, let's say you keep going to bars. There's a saying that if you keep going to the barber shop, eventually you're going to get a haircut, right? So it's the same thing. You have to be conscious of your environment, the people that you're with. It's work every single
Right.
day. And if you're a spiritual person, I start my day with meditation and saying a prayer.
Right.
Because I can never promise anyone that I'll never drink for the rest of my life. I have relapsed before, and I can only promise my daughter, because it's my daughter that I promise. I tell her, Mommy can only promise you that I won't drink today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what did she say?
And she said, I won't forgive you if you drink again.
Right. And so what sort of things did you have to change in your life during your recovery? Like if you say, if you're still going to the same places or hang out with the same people, what did it take for you to?
Well, for me, it was to seek help.
Okay.
Number one, from a counselor or recovery coach. I also attended 12-step meetings. You know, sometimes it's at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, "Oh my God, I gotta go." But you know, you have to make it a priority. You know, so you attend the meetings, and it becomes fun after a while because you build long-lasting friendships with
Right.
people who are just like you. They don't judge you. They understand that it's a brain disease. You don't have to explain why you don't drink. So you become really like they're like my sisters and my brothers.
Right.
You know, so I also go to conventions, you know, and of course, now I started writing about it
Right,
to help people and encourage them that if you have a problem, there's a place to go. You can
Right.
ask for help.
Right. And what about like the bars that you used to hang out in or the friends? What did you have to change?
Well, at first, I had to avoid some of the friends that
Right.
used to drink and use with me. But that doesn't have to be forever.
Right.
Just wait until you're strong enough. You'll know naman when you're ready.
Right.
You don't have to like erase and block everyone on social
right.
media. But be sure that if you attend events that have alcohol, make sure that you have a sober buddy with you,
Right.
you know, so that, you know, you can remind each other, you know, that,
Right.
let's, you know, be careful, baka there's alcohol in that drink
Right.
or something.
Are there any new trends or developments in recovery that you learned about when you studied?
Well, basically, what I did learn, which was surprising to me, was that, you know, 1 out of 5 women seek treatment. 1 out of 5 women who have substance abuse disorder seek treatment. And it's very sad.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very sad statistic because there's a stigma when it comes
Yes.
to women,
Yes,
especially
yes.
in our culture. Parang, how can you take drugs? You're a woman, you're a mother. Diba? How can you do that to your child? And also, women have a lot of responsibilities. They clean the house, they do laundry, they take care of their husbands, they go to work. They don't have time to seek treatment. And of course, in other cultures, even in other countries, you might even get arrested
Right.
for drinking, right? And of course, it's unfair with the men and women, like especially with parents, if their sons are addicted to drugs or alcohol, sige, let's send them to rehab. Pero if it's the daughter,
Oh, they won't.
they won't.
Kasi jahe.
Kasi jahe.
Oh my gosh, kawawa naman.
Yeah, kasi jahe. So that's why my team and I were called the Second Chances. We opened up a outpatient facility
Right.
where women can come in and feel safe.
Right.
You know, it's not an inpatient, so they don't have to sleep there.
Right.
You know, so they can attend Zoom meetings or they can come to our place in BGC and have face-to-face consultations.
Right. What else gets in the way of somebody who realizes she has a problem and wants to get better? What else are the obstacles?
Okay, the number one obstacle is not accepting that you have a disease.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, there's a story about this man. He was sober for about 20 years. You know, he worked hard, he stopped drinking. And after 20 years, of course, that question lingers. Am I still an alcoholic? Right? You know, I deserve to have a good time. I worked hard for my money. It's time to celebrate. This is a true story. And guess what? He took that first drink, and because the addiction is so progressive, in 4 years, he was dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So it's that, do not listen to that voice in your head. It's all about acceptance. Without acceptance, there's no recovery. Without change, there's no recovery. So don't listen to that voice.
Right.
Always remind yourself that your life is unmanageable with alcohol and drugs.
Wow. That must be so tough. Like the prospect of never drinking again.
Yes.
Like even for me, I'm not an alcoholic, but I can't even imagine not having wine if everyone is.
Exactly.
What can you say about that?
Well, you know what? That's why you need the support of others, because you can feel alone and feel sorry for yourself. But if you surround yourself with people who understand you and support you, you don't have to feel sorry for yourself. Actually, it's a blessing. You know, I don't have hangovers anymore. You know, that's a blessing. I don't have, my chances of getting heart disease is low.
Okay.
You know, it lowers my blood pressure. I have better sex. You know?
Contrary to what people think, right? Like they can't have sex unless they're kind of tipsy or drunk.
No, that's not true. And I have better sleep. I have better relationships with people when I'm not drinking alcohol. So in a way, it's a blessing in the sky. You know, it's a blessing in the sky. You know. So,
what else changed when you became sober for the good?
Oh, wow. My relationship with my daughter and my ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
Because when I was drinking, I was fighting with my ex-husband every single day because there was so much resentment, you know, blaming each other. And I was drunk and I would text him in the middle of the night. I didn't care what time it was. Who knew? I was drunk. And I would talagang remind him of all the bad things that he did to me. And the person that suffered the most was my daughter, you know? And of course, when my daughter would see me drunk, she would be afraid of me. And it's either I was angry or I was passed out. And she was left with her yaya the entire time. So the biggest difference is my ex-husband is now one of my best friends. We are co-parenting efficiently, and because we get along, my daughter is so much happier.
Wow.
You know, she doesn't mind that we are separated or divorced. She doesn't mind that. All she wants is for us to get along and that she is loved by both parents. And I have to admit, because of my addiction, there was a time that my ex-husband told me that if you don't get any help, I don't want to do this to you, but I may have to take her away from you.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when I was like, no, talagang I was like.
Was that enough to get you sober? Or
you know what?
I
thought it was, but it took some time. But just a short time, because that's when I hit my face it was during that time when I hit my face on the floor. And that was my motivator, my daughter. And then now everything is so much brighter because alcohol and drugs, they are depressants. Even though when you take it, you feel happy.
Yes.
But that happiness is short-lived.
Right.
It only lasts for so long. And then you crash.
Yes.
And that crash, you know, sometimes it takes 3 days to recover. I'm not young anymore. You know, when I drink a lot, it takes me 3 days to recover from the nausea, from the dehydration. I can't work out. So the more I get depressed, and of course, I do a lot of shameful things. You know, I thought I was being funny with my friends, like telling all these jokes, I'm dancing and all that stuff. Yung pala, I was already embarrassing myself. But in my drunk mind, I'm the life of the party.
Thank you for listening to You Can Do This. If you want to know more about me, visit Mirza.com. That's MYRZA.com. And follow me at Mirza Season on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate it 5 stars. Hit the follow button on your podcast streaming platforms and hit the notification bell to get alerted every time we release a new episode. Catch you at our next convo, and always remember, you can do this.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.